Hello.
Hey everybody, today is June 30th, 2023. I'm Gene.
And I'm Zane.
And you're hanging with Uncle.
How's it going?
Good, man.
Good.
Enjoying this last day of June?
Yeah, it is the last day of June, and honestly, we're celebrating with a bang, it sounds like. There's a lot of stuff to talk about today.
To go on this week, man.
Didn't think June was so special, but
Juneteenth, man.
I mean, that's special, but sarcastically, what happened today was not special. Pride Month of being special, yes.
Yeah. Well, before we get started, don't forget to please hit that subscribe button. We're trying to grow our channel.
Yeah, and hit the like button if you like the show. And
that also helps to really spread our channel out. So
absolutely. Hit the notification bell if you want to see when we go live in the future. And whenever we post our videos from afterwards.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So you want to start foreign
or
domestic?
Let's do foreign today.
All right.
Because I feel like the domestic one can go on for a little while. It has a few bullet points.
Yeah.
We'll go with the foreign. I'll kick it off. The foreign news or conversation we're having today is about France. Small articles here and there about France. I don't know if you actually tried to deep dive into and what's going on out there in France. Mainly Paris is where it's happening.
Yeah.
A bunch of riots are going on. Now, France is also having kind of the same issue that we are having here in America, where the police have certain motives. And especially when a kid's driving at the age of 17 without his license, it's A-okay to put him down. So that's what happened out there in France. The news story, 2 police officers pull up a young 17-year-old boy named Nahel N. And he then proceeded to be arrested by the cops reaching through the window and one having the gun pointed at the kid's face. Translated in French, I don't know French, but translated on what I was reading and watching, that the first officer threatened that he will shoot him if he tries, and the second one said that, go ahead, shoot him. Sure enough, kid drove off hearing those words, and sure enough, guess what they did?
They shot.
There we go. Of course, people are mad. Kid is of African descent. A lot of people of support. Now, I don't see the reason why I have to throw that in, but apparently that is a huge deal that's going out there in France, that they're also having a huge racial injustice that's happening out there.
France also has a history of good relations in Africa. I mean, let's just start with the French Foreign Legion and how long, they've been in the African continent.
Exactly, and it's a bunch of those people who are they're supporting the mother. A lot of people went on a march with her as well about her son being unjustly shot. The president himself said that he was unjustly shot as well, but he also did condemn the rioting and looting that proceeded. It has been happening for the past 2 days. They do expect him to come out tonight as well. And it went from a force of police officers to about 2,000 to 40,000 out there on the streets trying to prevent this. Now, again, we go over a lot of shootings here, honestly, on Uncle. We're not shy about talking about it. France has a real weird policy to where it's like racism doesn't exist because everything is treated equally. Everyone is equal. Everything is equal. And one reporter was reporting about it, stating that she's able to talk about the racial injustices, how police are backed by illicit racism and everything, but the government is not allowed to talk about it because it goes against the law, talking about how everyone's equal. They're not allowed to talk about things being unjust, about unequal and inequality, because everything is equal here in France. That is how they approach it.
That reminds me of Justice Brown's quote, and we'll get to the Supreme Court later, but just because you think discrimination isn't a thing under the law doesn't mean it doesn't exist in reality.
Exactly. So honestly, even if you have a law that is what France thinks theirs is a perfect one, I guess, like that, there has to be layers underneath it supporting it for when things like that still occur. It's not like you abolish racism completely because you put that law into place, like you said. There's going to be things that happen. So
it's like you can't legislate somebody to love you. It's impossible. If they're going to hate, they're going to hate. But you can't have consequences for actions of their hate.
Now, positive news is that the cop is on leave. Badge has been pulled. He's actually being tried for murder, is the case here, which sounds like a complete, for here in America, I guess. Everybody would think that's a complete yay, like, ooh, we win. But no, I think there's actually more of a conversation to this because, yes, you can be like, oh yeah, we win. There's the case that, this went right. Like the cop, someone still lost their life because of who they were, not necessarily because of anything that they were doing. And
that's the real tragedy.
That's the real tragedy. I know Malcolm X talked about the knife in the back. Now, it can be a 90% or 60%. The knife's still in my back. But people are going to talk about pulling the knife out and then, oh, yay, but don't forget about the wound as well. That's there.
Yeah.
Like, the wound is still there.
And I can never forget about that wound.
Mm-hmm. And we got to treat it. And we're not treating it. We're just...
And you can't legislate that wound away.
Right. No, you can't. You really can't. So it's like, now... it's more than the cop deserved and got the justice and stuff like that. It's beyond that. We're seeing that happen here in America too, on occasion, but it's beyond that. We need more of a systematic change for policing in general, it sounds like.
To me, I think it doesn't matter where you live. You know what justice looks like. Mm-hmm. You know what injustice looks like. Mm-hmm. And
it just takes a real human to do that.
Again, don't insult the intelligence of the people, trying to make them think it's one thing when we all know what really happened. Mm-hmm. So,
no more scapegoating?
And that's the problem we face here. Mm-hmm. I think, you hear people say, like, for example, slavery was, 100 years ago. Why should I care? It doesn't matter to me. Well, I like that until we address the wound in the back. Mm-hmm. The issue will never go away, whether you had something to do with it or not.
Mm-hmm. And honestly, that wound is history, if you kind of think about it.
Yeah.
Not all of it, but it's repeating itself right now. History is repeating itself. We know what happened in the past, but yeah, it's still happening.
And that's why history is not boring to me and why I pay attention to old stuff that happened 100 years ago.
Because it takes an educated person to take history and to mend it, to fix the wound of history. But some people want to shy away from that. And not necessarily because they don't want to, because of the hatred in their heart. That's generally it. It's hatred. That's all it is. So...
yeah, you can lock it up and get it out of society, but you can't make somebody stop feeling the way they feel.
Exactly that. So, in a perfect world, I don't think that could exist. But it takes more people to change and to recognize these things in the future to kind of mend the wound a little bit, or at least put a scab over it.
Yeah, and all I can suggest is, or hope for, is that the country of France gets the justice that's deserved over the actions of these officers.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, and I feel like they will, because they don't have our justice system, so I feel like it will go smoothly. They will try this. These two police officers, both of them are being tried. So hopefully, again, it's not a positive story. You can't turn a loss of a life into a positive at the end, no matter what outcome it is.
Well, let us know what you guys think in the comment section down there. Mm-hmm. All we can do is just throw it out there. We'd love to know what you think.
Absolutely, especially making a conversation.
Yeah. So, man, the Supreme Court.
Yes.
Man, my blood is boiling. Earlier this week, man, so on the Wednesday show I talked about, they got it right with Moore versus Harper and saying no, state legislatures, you don't have the power to have the ultimate authority over who decides an election and who doesn't. That right is of the people, not of you, the legislators.
Right.
I'm like, all right, maybe the Supreme Court's going to start going in the right direction. Mm-hmm. But they gutted the affirmative action clause in college admissions. Mm-hmm. And I hate that, number one, because I hate the argument of, well, this lesser qualified person had to get in because of the color of their skin, and that's why your spot was taken. Number one, how do you know that person was less qualified? Are you saying that just because it was the color of their skin? That's pretty racist for you to even make that defense for removing affirmative action.
That reminds me of the NFL black coaching thing, where you have to give the black coach the opportunity. You kind of do like, fuck.
No,
it's what it reminds me of. Though. It's like, it's for the opportunity for everyone. Is what it's supposed to be.
And
right?
Again, affirmative action has been a part of this country ever since 1776.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, it was always in favor of white people because people like you and me were only considered 3/5 of a human being.
Right.
So there's always been affirmative action. It's just been for white people, and everything was fine until we had to start leveling the playing field.
Mm-hmm.
And now all of a sudden, there's less qualified people taking my spot. It's the number one, that argument bugs me. And then the second thing is student loan forgiveness was killed. They gutted it, and I think that's pretty hypocritical when you had sitting members of Congress like Marjorie Schrader, who had been forgiven hundreds of thousands of dollars in PPP loans.
Yep.
That's okay, but it's not okay for a student to get a break on their student debt. You're hypocrites. Fuck you, Republicans, for even suing to have that stopped and blocked. So that it's like those are the two things that happened today in the Supreme Court this week that just really, there is more.
There's more. The discrimination of hiring against gay people. That's another. That also was something that was passed throughout the Supreme Court. They're allowing workplaces to deny people work just because of them and their sexual orientation.
Yeah.
So it's like it's a hetero place or bust here at Chick-fil-A.
They made it okay to discriminate.
Okay. Yep, which absolutely blows my mind because I'm ready. I guess we're waiting for the religious pitch, is what I've been saying. Like let's start banning people who are you're what faith? Oh, we gotta not have you here. No, but then that also puts more of that Christian BS in the way. But they don't want. Like, there will be more places that would be against Christianity if they did that than anything, but
because
it's just like, that's what they're going to do next.
Or they keep trying to sell that false narrative of getting back to our Christian roots and what this nation was founded on.
What Christian roots?
And it was not. That is 100% a lie. This country was not founded on Christianity, but freedom from religion. So nobody would be able to impose their religion on you, and that's exactly what Republicans are trying to do.
It's unbelievable, honestly, because it can be twisted to anything else. You were not hired because of the color of your skin. You were not hired because you were female. Sorry. That's still the same direction that's going to go. I promise you, ladies. Like, it don't matter. It's going to happen if this keeps getting allowed, because they're already taking away your rights and your own way of going to the doctor and what you need to do for your own body. Now they're going to probably take away job opportunities for you too at some point, because they're already doing that because of people's sex.
Because they wanted to go back to white majority men rule, where white men have power. This is all about white supremacy and white control in the United States.
Sounds like one of those Amish shows.
But honestly, that is all the Supreme Court did today, was clear the way for more discriminatory laws to be passed in states
allowed,
where they want to keep people of non-white skin down and out and without any chance of opportunity or growth.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more, man. It's, again, we said it in our last segment, we're going back in history. That's what it sounds like.
And that's why I think what the Supreme Court ruled this week is going to trigger such a blue wave at the polls to where Democrats will regain the House, they will maintain control of the Senate, and Joe Biden will win re-election because of what the Supreme Court is doing. They are guaranteeing a blue wave across this country so that laws will be set in place in Congress to eliminate what the Supreme Court has done. So, for example, you will see Roe codified as law. Voting rights will be restored. Affirmative action will be restored. These are the things you'll see happen, giving Democrats control because of what the Supreme Court did. And I'm registered no party preference.
None.
But the actions that the Supreme Court did is going to wake the country up, because think about it. This is not just a Democratic thing, okay? I'm sure there are Republicans that are going to school that have student loan debt. So Biden is not just forgiving student loans for Democrats, it's for everyone. But Republicans don't want to see that. They are hurting their own constituents with the ruling the Supreme Court came out with this week.
Yeah, I don't quite understand how this helps in any way, shape, or form. Like, yes, we have to go to the polls, of course, and do our whole voting process. You know how I feel about that. But
it's important.
It is important.
But I'm not basing my vote on a political party.
But that's the deal. It's like we've talked about it, and I've ranted about it multiple times. How are they allowed to change a law without us being able to say yay or nay the day of their doing it?
Well, see, here's the thing, man.
I understand voting them in. They were voted in, whatever. They were appointed by people, whichever they do those laws. I get it. But again, for me and my stance and my mentality, if you're going to pass a law under my nose, I better at least be able to smell that shit. But I can't, because it just happens. That's it. We the people don't have the option to say no.
See, I look at people like Senator Sinema here from Arizona, who campaigned on, yes, I want to raise the minimum wage to $15. And you're thinking, okay, my vote now, my say on who I elected is going to change the way things I want, because that's what they promised me. And then that bitch goes to the Senate and does her cute little curtsy thumbs down against raising minimum wage.
And then that's when I, as a citizen, should be able to go, wrong, that's against what we want, sorry, you're not doing that. We don't have that button or option. Every time I bring it up, I get it. I understand. We talk about how voting works, and they're supposed to do what we want them to. But you're supposed to trust a third party to do what you want them to do.
No, so and I agree with you. The part that sucks, we can hit that button, except for senators, you got to wait 6 fucking years before their term rolls around to vote them out.
That's not the button I'm asking for, though. I'm not waiting to push the button in 6 years. I want to fucking push it now. I want to be like,
you got to have
now.
a voter referendum, I guess.
Whatever needs to change, because I'm sure most Americans would agree with me. If I understand, yes, we have to have this blue wave or whatever wave of positivity for our country to fucking survive.
I'm just saying that's what's going to happen.
But when that happens, I still don't trust who's there to be able to continue what we're doing. So we still need, as people, to have that option to say, hey, we have you under a microscope. We are watching you and making sure you're doing the job that you're supposed to, that we voted for you for, or we're going to hit the button. There needs to be something.
There needs to be that button.
There needs to be something.
Because Senator Sinema, you're the reason we're having this conversation.
Exactly that. Because I was going to say, yes, I understand we can vote all these blue, purple, green, whatever people in, but how are we going to know they're going to do it, Gene? Because that's like saying, okay, yeah, I'm going to pay this for this thing on Amazon, and Amazon's like, hey, you know what? We're not doing our shipping thing anymore. We're relying on this company. But you also have to go through that company to take care of it, not go directly to us. You can only talk to us about it every 6 years or so, okay?
Okay, cool. You know, again, like I said, we can, as voters, do a voter recall. The thing is, they make it so hard because if, like, again, you've been over here with me gathering signatures many times. If your signature goes below the line or above the line or in any way, you know, violates that technicality, not just that one signature gets eliminated, but every signature on that entire sheet gets eliminated. They make it that hard. But we do have the ability And it would just take like an enormous amount of signatures on a petition to have her removed, to have a recall and special.
And that, I feel like, is an old button that shit doesn't work. You're talking about typewriter button. Like, we're talking about state-of-the-art, lights up, neon red, ready for us to go, brrr, instead of, hey man, sign this piece of paper, where now we're in a digital age where we have to have digital signatures, which probably won't count for them either, right? Because they don't want that.
No, actually, well, here you can. As a matter of fact, when I sign candidate petitions to say, yes, I want this person to get on the ballot, I go to the Secretary of State's website and electronically click that person's button.
And maybe there should be an electronic thing there for all of us to click. That makes them say in the office, uh-oh, we made everybody mad. We can't do this. Or we lose our job or something, because God, man, I'm so tired of shit happening when we don't have any control of it.
Yeah.
I'm so tired of that shit.
I know what you mean, man. I know what you mean, but honestly, I understand your skepticism, because Cinema's given us that reason.
Exactly that.
You know, and so has Manchin. Again, Manchin, when we were trying to codify Roe, 99 senators had voted. Manchin made sure he was the last one. And this is when the Senate was 50-50. 49 Democrats voted yes. All 50 Republicans voted no. And Democrat Joe Manchin walked on the floor and voted no to codify Roe, and voted with Republicans and allowed the Supreme Court to kill Roe. Joe Manchin did that shit.
Again, there needs to be a point where we're like, okay, we got to go over your morality again real quick. Can we re-interview you? Because I'm over that shit. I don't give a fuck who they are now. And these guys, like, we just need...
So, I mean, but I think now, you know, especially in these close districts, because of what the Supreme Court has done, Democrats will have enough of a majority to where the votes will be there to get the shit done you and I want to see done.
Yeah, not unless they all go, just kidding.
Right, well, you know, in that case, man, you know, I'll be part of the crowd storming the Capitol.
Yeah, for hypothetically. Jesus. That was a big one. I mean, honestly, if that's how it turns out, then that's how it turns out, honestly. Like, if the government is meant to do one thing, this is literally, like, bottom line how we're discussing it without any, like, bias to it. The government is supposed to do X. We have voted for them to do X. They end up doing Y. And so we change the vote, say, hey, you got to do W now because we are pretty deep now. And you're like, okay, yeah, we'll do the W. They go and we need a big W, bro. No, just kidding. We're going to do the Y again.
Yeah.
So it's like we need to somehow keep us on that coast of like, hey, this is what you're supposed to do to get us back to where we were. Because again, first segment, we're falling back in time.
Again, man, I've told you my theory. I don't want to say it here because I don't want to give anything away. But let's just say that I believe the congressional elections of 2026 are going to have a common thread.
Let's hope for it.
Across this country in all 435 districts.
Let's vote for it.
And I've told you what it is before, but I'm not going to say it here because I don't want to give it away. But I support it. If what I think is happening, what I feel rumbling under the ground was happening, I support it 100%. So
it's kind of crazy because we were saying earlier that we don't really identify what we want to vote for. I mean, people will say, no, you actively look like this, you are this, you are that. No, it's not the case. I'm going to look at the ballots, I'm going to read up on people and see what they like and how I feel. And if by chance that's how a vote turns out, that's how a vote turns out. And that's how it should be.
I'll give a little bit away. This is my hint, all right? That generation that's coming up younger than you, that really progressive generation, is going to make those substantive, sweeping changes in Congress. They've already shown their ability to mobilize below periscope depth and make things happen. And I think 2026 is going to be a special election in Congress.
Let's hope so, man, because honestly, I'm over the stress of everything.
Yeah.
Like, it really shouldn't be stressful. It shouldn't bother me. It shouldn't bother anybody because we all should just be living our lives, being all happy-go-lucky, whatever we do. But most of the stuff that's going on is not allowing people to live their lives.
That's why it bothers us, because they're not doing what they promised us.
Exactly.
And they've rigged the system.
I've never been so, not invested, I guess, but like in the know of what's going on with our government in so long, because, I mean, it's not like there wasn't a care for it. It was just like, okay, like, that was cool, but like, hey, still, this is happening. Like, that was cool, but this is still happening. But when it got to like the last, 2-3 years,
I would say since Cadet Bonespurs was elected.
it's just, I don't know what's happening anymore. Where is the mission? Like, Joe Biden's talking about like internet for everybody right now. It's like, dude, that's not the important part right now.
Well, but honestly, it's important to a lot of people.
It is important to a lot of people to get them on the grid, yes, but like,
Yeah, especially like think of all the native tribes that have nothing,
but like, it's
that
just,
are in dead zones.
I've always talked about how you and I both understand that like right now, the important conversations, you can't shy away from them. And I just feel like a lot of the conversations are shying away from the important ones still. Like you said, the knife's hidden still.
Yeah.
People are afraid to talk about it. So it's like, I don't know. The reason why I brought up that internet thing was because of that. Like, I was like, what? I saw it on Twitter. He was talking about how global internet for everybody, not global internet, but internet for everybody. It was like, wasn't there a kid shot the other day? Like,
But again,
or something.
For what the president does, he's not a legislator. He is in the executive branch, and so those are the things that he's doing that are in the purview of the executive branch.
Okay.
But I'm glad you brought up that broadband, because you have people like Tommy Tuberville, senator from Alabama, who did everything he could to make sure that this infrastructure bill didn't pass, right?
Yeah.
But then it passed, and they're getting like $3 billion to help their infrastructure in Alabama. And he's all trying to take credit for it. And Biden tweeted over his thing, "See you at the groundbreaking."
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, so it's like they're all. John Cornyn did the same thing in Texas, and Nancy Mace did the same thing in South Carolina. You all voted no on this, fighting really hard. And now that it's a success and you're getting money, you want to stand up and take credit for something you tried to kill. That's what these Republicans are doing. They're a bunch of hypocrites, man.
It's got to be done with, man. I'm tired of the hypocrisy.
It is. Let's get into our dumbass of the week.
Yeah, go first. You go ahead.
All right, my dumbass of the week is Clarence Thomas.
Okay. He's been on the crowd.
Again, man, that dude is so angry because Sam Jackson got the role of Steven instead of him in the movie Django. He's married to who he's married to because of the marriage equality with the Loving case, right?
Right.
That allowed interracial marriage in this country because it was illegal before that. But he's a benefactor of that and wants to override that bill, wants to kill it. He is a benefactor of affirmative action, but wants to kill affirmative action. I got mine, but I want to pull the ladder up so you can't get yours. You're not my problem.
He's way past his expectation.
Dude is a fucking, I'm sorry, if there's kids in the room, cover their ears. Clarence Thomas is the consummate house nigga, and he's a dumbass for voting the way he did when he is cutting off the kneecaps of people who are trying to better themselves off the same programs that he benefited from. Fuck you, Clarence Thomas.
He's definitely the Uncle Tom. Definitely the Uncle Tom. Now, I did tell you who my dumbass was earlier, but I did remember what mine was. Now, you may have to help me because I'm not too familiar, again, with politics as much as I should be, I guess. So if I misquote, I'm sorry. Ron DeSantis gets my dumbass of the week this week.
The Satan, yes.
The Satan. Because there's a correction. He did not. Mr. Satan himself said, no, to the devil's lettuce. He overturned a bill that was going to legalize marijuana out there in Florida, correct?
Yeah.
Florida? Yeah, in Florida. And a lot of people were saying, well, that just hurt his presidency right there. Because many people in Florida believe that marijuana would be legalized now. Last year, year before, you would think Florida would be one of the places that has marijuana legalized. But
Just
no,
medical.
that's not the case. Not even that, actually, apparently. I believe what I read was that you have to go to a doctor to seek medical medication for your whatever is prescribed to you. That marijuana is not even of medical use there, I believe. Let me double check.
Yeah, let me.
But yeah, he wants to pull it up because I did see it on the headlines and reading it up on it. It was between work. I had phone calls. I had to answer them, but
Oh, no problem.
they definitely said there that you would have to go to the doctor to receive prescription-based medications, and not the green stuff is not available there. But
All right, is marijuana legal in Florida? Marijuana is only legal in the state of Florida when a person has obtained a medical marijuana
use of
authorization.
authorization. Okay, so maybe what I misread there was something I misread, but I don't know. It was DeSantis not allowing marijuana to be distributed in Florida. So
Yeah,
he
he's a
deserves
dumbass.
it. Yes. I wanted to look it up just in case, but DeSantis signs bill prohibiting medical marijuana.
Yeah,
You heard it here, folks.
that's right. So
that hasn't changed yet on Google. So don't Google it because it does say medical marijuana is legal in Florida, but that is besides the case because right now DeSantis signs bill prohibiting medical marijuana in Florida.
and probably the legal precedence is that it's still Schedule 1 federally.
Most likely.
But that would have to be an executive order because if it's the law in Florida, he can't be the king and just wave a wand and say, I declare marijuana illegal in Florida. That's not how the Constitution works.
Well, that's what I'm reading here.
Well, he is an asshole and he will be challenged in court and will be struck down.
Yeah, I don't quite understand why, but yes, it is listed as something you cannot even get from a doctor anymore.
Damn. All right. Well,
There goes his presidency.
we'll vote for the Satan who's a dumbass.
That's all the time we have today,
All right.
folks.
I'm Gene.
I'm
And
Zane.
thank you for hanging with Uncle.
What a way to end Pride Month.
Yes.
Not allowing people to get jobs.
Right, man. I wish I was a millionaire. I'd hire all of them.
Honestly, they deserve jobs just as anybody else.
Right.
Good night, everybody.